Hey, how you doing here, guys? It's Andrew Hawks. Of course, you can call me Doc Drew. If you're not following me, you can do so over at Instagram at Andrew Hawks Online or at TikTok at Andrew Hawks Online as well. It's Thursday morning. It's 6:30 a.m. here in Western Australia, meaning the day's almost done in New Zealand. It's like 5 hours ahead. What's that? 6:30. It's 11:30, almost lunchtime. And then, of course, on the Gold Coast, it's another 2 hours ahead as well. That's the beauty of traveling, I guess, but that's also the beauty of working the way I do. And I just fit things in when I can, and I'm committed to doing this each and every day, so I am. And I'm also committed to getting up and doing some exercise first thing. So I've done that as well. I'll tell you what, it was only 5 degrees, so by New Zealand standards, not too bad, pretty warm. But I'll tell you what, I've gotten soft over the years because it was freaking cold. Had a beanie on, had my hood on. It was cold. So the risk I faced this morning is if I didn't put a sweatshirt or something on, I was absolutely going to freaking freeze. Thankfully I didn't. Hey guys, if you are just joining us, tap that screen on TikTok, and if you're on Facebook or YouTube, just hit the like button or one of the hearts, whatever, just so I know that you're there, that you're listening, that you're there, so I can say hey and give you a shout out or whatever. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, today we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to continue our conversation around DeFi, around the decentralized finance space, around crypto, around blockchain, around Web3, and we're also going to talk about the risks that are involved with it. Because some people say, oh, don't get into DeFi. And if you listen to the news, if you listen to the mainstream media, if you listen to any of the regulatory bodies, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, no DeFi, you don't get into that, it's risky. Yeah, it's risky for them because it means you get back your sovereignty. It means you get back control over your life. It's absolutely risky for them. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not without its risk. It's not without its risk at all, and I shouldn't say that lightly. But there's things that you can do to mitigate your risk. There's things that you can do to make it just that little bit safer for you, which is obviously important, right? No one likes to do anything risky, but here's the thing with that. There's more risk in doing nothing at all than there is in taking a chance on something and doing something. Now, I'm a very firm believer that it's not even about the external opportunity that's ahead of you, it's actually more about the internal battle that you face yourself. Because if you believe that you've got the ability to get through it, to cope through it, then you will, and you'll be fine. And it's, number one, son's just about to wake up. And it's fine, you'll get through it. But that belief comes internally. It does, but sadly, that's also something that comes from experience, right? It comes from things that happen to you, and you'll either grow from them or you retreat from them. Most people I've met retreat from them. They go, that's just too difficult. I mean, I'll give you an example of a guy, hell of a nice guy, but every time in my DMs, it's just always constant negativity. I'm like, this is why you're stuck, bro. This is why you can't get onto the next thing. This is why you think that everybody's out to rip you off. Now, yeah, you can go through life like that. But it's not a very nice existence, is it? If you're always thinking that somebody's going to take advantage of you, that means you're always anxious. You're always in that space of, they're going to get me. What a shitty existence to live in. Really, don't be. It's not the place. Hey, Ellen, how you doing? I hope you're well. All the way in the Netherlands, getting on in the evening for you there now. In fact, it must be late for you. Hey, and if you are just joining us there on TikTok or wherever, just come and hit the screen or whatever you're doing. So we're not going to talk about hype. We're not going to talk about moonshots today. We're just showing you how we can navigate the space without losing your head or your shirt, because that's important, right? No one wants to lose the shirt off their back. Trust me, I've been there. I've done that. Not through crypto, through other things. So yeah, maybe I'm wired just a little bit differently to other people. That's a superpower, I think, because it means that I'm willing to try new things. And it's so true. I'd rather die broke trying than live comfortably under the boot of someone else. And that's the absolute truth. And that's one of the reasons I do what I do. And guys, if you are just joining us for the first time, head over to drewsdaily.com. You can grab a sovereign wealth sheet there. It'll show you just a few things that you can do for yourself, how you can set yourself up. There's also a DeFi checklist that you can get. And there's a link where you can flick me a WhatsApp message. We can have a chat or whatever you want. But that's over at drewsdaily.com. So we'll continue to talk about definitely bedtime. Yeah, Alan. Yeah, I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. So yeah, look, it's DeFi isn't without risk. Let me put it that way. But you can mitigate that risk, and you can do things in a way that you want to do them, to set them up in a way that works for you, so that you benefit from it, so that you protect yourself. And again, it's not about moonshots. It's just about real talk about how we can navigate this space, okay, safely. And that's what I do. I show people how to navigate the space safely and effectively, right? Because who wants to do something if they're not going to get something back from it? Because DeFi isn't too risky, but most people just guess in the space, right? And we've used our Hawk Tour Girl just a few times as an example. So many people just blindly put life savings or college tuition funds into that token because they believed in her. I think her name was Haley, but they believed in her. But they didn't do the research on, they believed that, she said, we're going to do this, 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 and this. Well, she was only rabbiting or parroting what she had been told before. So they didn't do their research on it. They didn't read the white paper. They didn't look to see, okay, so there's this many players that already have this amount of allocation of tokens that they can just dump into the market and steal all that liquidity back. That's a really, really important nuance they missed, because that's generally where most of those big problems come from, where those, what was another one a while ago? It was going back a few years now, it was a pretty mainstream coin, but all of a sudden it just tanked. It had one god candle, it went up and everyone was like, oh yeah, buy it, it's going up, and then poof, it dropped to the ground. This is going back 2-3 years, I can't even think of the name of it, but it was a well-known token. Maybe you can't see it coming, but most of the time you can. So let's have a little bit of a talk about some strategy and how some smart plays, and why having a plan actually changes everything for you, why it makes it safer for you. You've got to know what to do, when to do it. Now, you don't need to know all the how and everything like that, and I'm not going to get all woo-woo with you, but you don't need to know the how. You just need to have a plan. Okay, this is where we want to go. This is what we want to do. And you can do that based on little things like, okay, if I'm assessing a token or a coin, right? We know the difference between a token and a coin. A token runs on a blockchain, coin runs natively to the blockchain, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ethereum, whatever. Token runs on the chain. So we can have a plan. We could look at, okay, does this token have a white paper out for me to read right now? Yes? Okay, it's got the first box ticked. If it hasn't got a white paper yet, then everything's just happening on hype. And look, I'm not saying that it won't be a white paper coming. I'm just saying that if you want to mitigate your risk, if you want to alleviate that and bring it down just that little bit, wait until the white paper is out so that you can read it. If there's no white paper yet, that increases your risk. 100% increases your risk. Now, having a white paper doesn't totally de-risk you, but it's one of the steps that we can look at, one of the check boxes, if you like, that we need to consider, that we need to look at. Now, if this is useful, guys, just remember to tap that screen on TikTok. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, then give us some love. And if you're just joining us for the first time, head over to drewsdaily.com, grab the Sovereign Wealth sheet, grab the DeFi checklist, depending on which page you land on. They're both there. We might even set it up differently so you can grab both at the same time. But anyway, at the moment, they're separately. Now, I think a big thing to remember is that risk isn't the enemy. It's not the enemy. Risk isn't bad in and of itself. Risk allows us to think about things, to consider our own mortality, for example. I mean, there's risk in walking across the road, but you can look both ways. You go, okay, there's no cars. I'm probably okay to walk out. But you wouldn't necessarily walk out into a 5-lane highway without first checking the direction. In fact, most of the time, you probably wouldn't walk out onto a 5-lane highway because you know there's risk. You've looked at it. Risk isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not the enemy. It's just we have to know how to deal with the enemy. We have to know how to deal with it, right? We have to know the steps we take. And the first, as I've said, is making sure or ensuring that there is a white paper that you can check to see what's going on with that token, with that coin, whatever. Now, every big move that we take in life actually involves risk. Whether we like that, recognize that, understand that or not, it doesn't matter. Every step that we do, everything that we do in life involves some risk. Leaving home for the first time, riding a bike for the first time, walking for the first time. Yeah, I could fall over, I could crack my head. I remember when my eldest son, Harlan, he was just sort of zombieing around. You know, they're at that stage where they're not quite walking yet, but they're not really, not crawling either. They're just zombieing around from place to place. Well, we used to have a glass table with some really freaking sharp corners on it. We fell over and cracked his head. There was risk in him learning to walk. Now, we de-risked that very quickly. We went, well, we're not going to let that happen again. And the very next day, that coffee table went to somebody else, to a beautiful home that had no kids. Perfect, great. But there was risk in that. There's risk in starting a business. There's risk in having a job, believe it or not. There's risk in doing absolutely nothing. Hey, Rangy J, hope you're well, Dad. You've made it on live. For those watching on Facebook, my father's now also watching. He's probably the one and only watcher I've got there. Anyway, if you're on TikTok, guys, just hit that like screen, and also on Facebook, give us some love. Let us know this is landing for you. So every big move in life involves risk, as we've said. Starting a job, staying in a job, leaving a job, saying yes to something new. It's always going to seem daunting. It's always going to seem scary for you, particularly if you don't know the subject matter and behind it. And particularly when there's so much noise, and it is just that noise around it, telling you that it's bad or it's this or it's that. Somebody sent me an article yesterday, and I don't normally entertain them at all because it's just like, really? I'll tell you about it. So somebody sent me an article yesterday, and it's irrelevant what it's about, but it's pertinent to the conversation because it was around the DeFi space. And I read the first 2 bits of an article, and it was from supposedly a very reputable website. Might have been a reputable website once, certainly not anymore. When somebody's random Rose is posting, see, this is the funny thing. People just sit in the basement and type bullshit and then think that that's okay. So this is part of the noise that we have to start to navigate. But everything that they quoted was from a known extortion site and was absolutely factually inaccurate. That could be absolutely fact-checked very, very easily with all of the facts, right? With the documented facts. But people still listen to that and go, oh, I can't do that. These are intelligent people. Or at least so I thought. Anyway, I don't usually entertain, but I was just like, really? Why the hell are you sending me this crap? It's bollocks. I make my own decisions. I don't make my decisions based on a third-party website from someone I don't know. And you guys shouldn't either. And don't do it based on what I'm telling you. Don't look at things based on what I'm saying. Do your own freaking research. That's the one thing I've maintained the whole time I've been doing this live stream, and that is do your own research. D-Y-O-R. Do your own research. Now, you might still do your own research and go, this is pretty good, and it might still fail. Or you might also do your own research and go, you know what, I'm just going to ride this one out. I'm going to sit back, and it might go to the moon. That's okay, both ways, because you're responsible for it. And when this isn't a conversation about responsibility, or maybe it is, who knows? But it's about being smart about your risk. It's about being smart about what you have to create for yourself and the way in which you do it. What separates smart risk from dumb risk? Awareness, planning, and intention. I'm going to say it again. You can maybe write a note about it. What separates smart risk from dumb risk? Awareness. Has it got a white paper? What are people saying about it that I know and trust? Not some random bollocks. Have I got the planning in place that's going to help me with it? And what is the intention that I have behind it? Am I just buying this token or coin and hoping that it moonshots so I can go and buy a house and a Lambo? I'm not buying a Lambo, by the way. If I get a car, if I get a nice car like that, it'll be a McLaren because that's New Zealand DNA. But that's another story as well. So awareness, planning, and intention. What's going on in the space? What are the reputable sites saying about it? And reputable sites, I'm talking about the likes of Cointelegraph. I'm talking about the likes of CoinMarketCap. Any top tier institution that's giving something praise is probably, you know, there might be something in it. Now, they don't always get it right. Don't get me wrong. Don't always get it right because look at FTX, for example. Lots of people fell into that because it was not necessarily a Ponzi scheme, but it was certainly tied to money laundering. That's another story. That's some way, right there actually, that brings me to a good point. One of the easiest ways you can de-risk yourself in anything is not leave your coins or your tokens on a centralized exchange. The whole point of DeFi, decentralized finance, is that you remain in control of it, not somebody else. If you've left it on a centralized exchange, somebody else is in control of that. They can literally decide, oh, actually, no, I've been told that I have to freeze your account, that you can't have access to your funds. No, you can't withdraw tokens or coins from this, you can only withdraw fiat. Well, that's, if you are looking to get into the space in a meaningful way, you want to be in control of your coins, of your tokens. That's another way that you can de-risk yourself, is just by you having control in a secure wallet. And again, secure wallets, you can pick up one of these as a keystone. You could use a ledger, you could use a Trezor, and keep it in a cold storage. There's air gap, it's not online, all of those sorts of things. So we've talked about crossing a street. We already said you look both ways. We pay attention to what's going on in the market here. What is happening in this space? Crypto's the same. Just because it's new doesn't mean it's unknowable, unlearnable. There's always something to learn from someone somewhere, and there is literally thousands of different podcasts and things that you can jump on that you can learn, and YouTube that you can learn about the decentralized space. Now, some of them are bullshit. Some of them are coin maxis. They're talking about one specific coin. And look, there's nothing wrong with that either. They've made that their area of expertise, and they've gone, this is my lane, I'm going to stick in it. Some people love Bitcoin. Some people hate Bitcoin. Some people love XRP. Some people hate XRP. Some people love Solana. Some people hate Solana. There's always going to be a pro and a con. There's always going to be somebody saying, hey, yep, I think it's awesome, to somebody saying, no, it's bollocks. It's bullshit. So you have to use some discernment in that. And that can be scary for people, because it means you are responsible, coming back to that word, you're responsible for the outcome that you decide that you want to have. That responsibility. Responsible is made up of two words, and it is the ability to respond. Do I have the ability to respond to this situation? Therefore, I have the responsibility. So anyway, that's just an aside, as I said. So when somebody says, look, isn't this risky? You've got friends, you've got loved ones, you've got family that'll go, hey, we're a bit worried about you. Yep, I get it. You can always turn around and say, well, it's risky if you're only guessing. It's risky if you are not knowing the ins and outs, if you haven't looked at all of the markers. And some people will do 5 minutes of research, literally. They'll go to Google and type in, what is, I knew it. And they have what they call confirmation bias. And they'll look at that, and then they'll send that to you. And I'm worried about you. Well, hold on, how long have you known me? You've known me 15, 20, 30, my whole life. How long have you known this person? Oh, you don't know them. Right, so you're trusting someone you've never ever met over someone you've known 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever that time frame is. You're taking somebody else's word over someone you know, trust, and apparently enjoy, because we hang out together. That's real cool. Appreciate it. So it's only if you're guessing is it risky. If you're doing your research, if you're going through the right steps, then you're going to be gold. And that's the way you should be looking at it. So, excuse me for a second. Think about like this. Think about fitness, and it's a good way to break it down. It's a good little analogy to look at. If somebody walks into the gym and tries to deadlift 200 kilos on their first day, what happens? So they've never been to the gym before. They rock in. They go, "I'm going to deadlift 200 kilos." Though they wouldn't say it in an American accent, because the Americans will not use the metric system. They'll use anything but the metric system. That's a whole other story too. We could have some fun with that, but we won't. We're here to talk about DeFi space, right? So what happens? Injury. They're more than likely going to hurt their back. particularly if they've never done it before, because their form's probably going to be shit. They could tear a muscle, bang. Oh, and let me tell you about that. That hurts. That hurts. I was competing once when I was 19 years of age, and it was the Bay Champs. And if Dad's still watching this, he knows the story because he was there. It was the Bay of Plenty Championships, and I was racing a thing called an IRB, an inshore rescue boat. And if you're around Australia, New Zealand, I think even in South Africa, and maybe other countries around the world, they have a little orange rubber boat on the beach, referred to as a rubber duck, but it's an inshore rescue boat. And they have a little 30 horsepower on the back of it. And anyway, they raced them, and I raced them. And at 19 years of age, I was at the Bay Champs, and it was the mass rescue. So it's where you go out around the cans twice. There's 3 patients that you got to pick up on 2 runs, essentially. And we were sprinting up the beach for the finish, and I was literally meters from the finish line, and my hamstring went, and it was the most excruciating pain I've ever had in my life. Oh, now I'd trained, I'd done all the right things, but it still freaking hurt. So sometimes that's an example of still planning, being aware, what's your intention, and still having that failure. And it happens, guys, it happens. But if we think about that story with the 200 kilos, the deadlift, what happens? Injury, frustration, burnout. They link the gym as being dangerous. Well, that's a real good one. That's a real good one. Particularly in this space. Oh, I've been in crypto before. I lost all my money. Yeah, it's not a safe space. I'm not going to be there. No. You were just an idiot. You didn't read the cues. You didn't, and this isn't an attack on anyone, by the way. It's just like, take some responsibility. You didn't read the cues. You didn't research it well enough. You listened to what somebody else said. You didn't take responsibility to dive a little bit deeper into it. That's a big one with crypto. That's a big one. And the thing with that, coming back to our gym, what's the problem with that is you probably didn't have a plan. You can't just go in and lift 200 kilos in a deadlift. You got to work up to it. You got to make sure that your form is correct. You got to make sure that you're warmed up, that your muscles are ready. Because if not, you're probably going to cause yourself an injury. Same is true in this space. You got to warm up. You got to look at it. If you're worried, then dip in slowly. Dollar cost average into something. Not financial advice at all, by the way. But if you are just joining us for the first time, head over to drewsdaily.com. Grab yourself the Sovereign Wealth Sheet and the DeFi checklist there. Go through it. See if there's anything in there that resonates with you. You go, yeah, this makes sense. We can deepen the conversation or whatever it is that you want to do. If you're just joining us, I am in Western Australia right now. I am in Perth. But tonight, I fly to the land of the rising sun. And if anyone can answer where that is, they may or may not get a prize. So heading to the land of the rising sun tonight. So strategy beats speed in this space. Now, sometimes you do need to be quick to take advantage of something that's happening. Now, I read something the other day and I was like, well, yeah, it could be a red flag, but it could also mean that something's moving incredibly fast, right? Somebody says, oh, if somebody's putting pressure on you that it needs to be done now, then that's an absolute red flag and you should avoid it. Bollocks. Stop being a Nancy. Should you be cautious? 100%, absolutely. But look at why there's the urgency. Sometimes it's quite legitimate. And you still need to be aware. You still need to make sure, okay, this is where we're going. This is what's happening. So there's essentially three approaches, right, that people take to getting into the space. First is passive, right? Maybe you buy and hold or hodl, right? You might have heard the term hodl. It stands for hold on for dear life. It was actually a misspell that happened years and years and years ago in a forum, and it stuck. So instead of saying hold, the women typed the D before the L, and hodl was born. So here we go, we hodl. So maybe you buy and hodl or hold. Maybe you stake and you receive passivity from it. Maybe you're in the liquidity pools, and that's slightly different as well. That probably comes into the next one. We'll talk about that. But if you're just buying and holding, you're waiting for it to go up. Now, if you bought 10 Bitcoin for $10,000 in 2017, early 2017, they were less than $1,000. So let's say you bought 10 Bitcoin at that time, and you held it to now. Are you doing all right? Chances are. Now, if you put that same 10,000 into Ethereum at the same time, would you be doing all right today? Chances are you wouldn't be upset at all. You'd be like, hell yeah, that's passive. You're just sitting there waiting for it to hold, waiting for it to grow. And the same can be said in the traditional markets as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Same can be said in the traditional markets. The difference being is that you're under someone else's control again in the traditional markets. Now we're in a very, very exciting time. We're in a changing space that is going to see some very cool things happening. You know, that's another time for another call, I guess, or one conversation for another call. But active, you're farming, you're compounding, you're timing the market. So you've done your active research on different things. You're looking at it and go, okay, I know that when it hits, when I've got a window of between X and Y, I should get into this coin, this token, because I believe it'll go to an ABC or whatever. I know we're up to Z, X and Y. It goes to Z. So you look at that and go, okay, we can time the market. We're farming. We're actively moving tokens from one place to another, or staking them, or putting them out to get rewards from it. Morena Tania, I hope you're well. Ki te pia koe. So that's active. And the last one, the third approach, common approach, is it's degen. Degen is short for, and it is a crypto term, believe it or not, a degenerate, a gambler. You're chasing the 1000x projects without ever doing research. Somebody goes, hey, this coin's going to go to the moon. This token's going to go to the moon. You should buy some. Yeah. And we've been there. I've been a degenerate in that sense. I've bought tokens and gone, yeah, this is a moonshot. 9 times out of 10, in fact, probably 99 times out of 100, it's not. It doesn't go anywhere. So just have a little bit of wit about you. Now, no, I can say that with candor is because, yeah, I know that I've done that. I know that I've been there and I've done those stupid things. That's why I'm uniquely positioned to tell you about them. And there'll be other people that go, oh yeah, but he leads you into da-da-da-da-da-da. No. Everything I do is based on what I know about a project at the time, with all the information given. And that's important too. So now, as I've said, degen is short for degenerate. It's a crypto slang term. People they full send on risky projects. They go all in without reading the room, without reading the papers, without reading what's actually happening in the marketplace at that point in time. It's fun to watch, but it is incredibly dangerous to follow. Now maybe you've got nothing to lose. And if it pays off, then you're going to be incredibly well off. You might look at that and go, well, okay, well, if I've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, the asymmetric risk versus reward ratio is too good. I'm going to have a look at it. That's another thing, right? If we talk about asymmetric risk versus reward, that means you could put in a small amount with, yeah, and it might be risky, don't get me wrong. You put in a small amount, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, a small amount, but the asymmetric reward of that risk, of you losing that, is that it goes 100x. Now, I'm not saying that you bet the farm on it, and I'm not even recommending that you do it, but you do have to look at asymmetric risk versus reward. Is the risk that I'm taking right now worth the potential payoff that it's going to be? And let's come back to the example I gave the other day about old mate with his Bitcoin. When he mortgaged his house, right? That's the risk versus reward for him was like, well, if it moonshots, if this continues to go on the trend that it is, man, I'm going to make a fortune. Now, if he held those coins, and I don't know if he did, but if he held them, that risk probably paid off. It's taken 8 years, but it probably paid off. Does it make sense? So there's a risk versus reward. Yeah, the degen thing, that cracked me up. Now, it's okay to have a little risk capital. So it's okay to have a stash of capital sitting there that you are prepared to risk. And, you know, again, not financial advice at all, but most financial planners will tell you that shouldn't be any more than 10% of your portfolio. In fact, some would probably say it's even less. Definitely no more than 10% of your portfolio, depending on where you are in your cycle and what you're doing and how you're doing it. And thank you very much, the respected Muslim. Loving those that love. Thank you very much. Phoenix, I see you just joined there on TikTok as well. Hey, shout out to you guys. If you guys are just joining us, head over to drewsdaily.com. You'll be able to find out more about me, Sovereign Wealth Kit, and the DeFi checklist as well. And then for anyone joining us there on YouTube and Facebook also. So, as I said, you want to have a little bit of risk capital available to you. But if your entire game plan is based on moonshots, right? It's like, I'm going to put this here. I'm putting it on black. If it's based entirely on moonshots, then you're absolutely gambling. Now, I'm not saying don't take those shots on those things, but don't risk your entire capital of doing that. And that's something that it took me years and years and years to understand. What do you mean, my capital? And yeah, I still take risks. I'm not risk averse. My risk tolerance is probably a little bit different. It's changed in the last 10 years. It's changed a lot because of my family, because of what we do and where we're at. But my risk tolerance is that I'm going to put this aside. I've got capital that I'm not going to touch, that it's just sitting there, but I've got this here that I'm willing to play with. So, have a plan with that. Very, very important. So what you got to ask, what's the time frame? How long are you giving yourself for this to pay off or not pay off? What's your goal? What's your outcome for this? What does it look like? Is it to put $5,000 into something and to get $40,000 out within 12 months or 2 years or whatever? What's the time frame on it? We've already said that, right? What's the goal? That could be a monetary value. It could be a lifestyle switch. It could be you leaving your job. What is the goal? What is it that you want to achieve there? But what does success look like? And if you've ever been to any personal development stuff, coaches will say to you, they'll say, oh, what's your end state? What's your end state? Now that could be the state of being that you're in. How do you feel? Are you euphoric? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you joyful? Whatever. That's the state, right? But what does success look like? That can be your end state as well. So the state is how you're showing up, but the end is how you're showing up at the end of what's happened. And if you've set a decent goal for yourself, then it's probably going to be elation if you've hit it. If you haven't, then okay, you might be going, okay, well, we didn't quite hit it. Let's reset. Let's go again. Simple. Simple, simple. But if you can't answer those three questions, what's my time frame? What's my goal? What does success look like in this? Then you're probably just guessing. And guessing is not going to get you what you want. There has to be some strategy involved in it. You can be incredibly lucky. You can be incredibly lucky and you can go through and things can just work out for you. Absolutely, it happens. I know a lot of people that it's happened to. In fact, I've had it happen to me quite a bit as well. But what I have noticed is that when I have got strategic about what I'm doing, if I've got really intentional about what I'm doing, especially, not specifically, especially in this DeFi space, when I've been really intentional about what I'm doing, when I've had a plan, when I've had an outcome, a goal, then things happen faster and easier, smoother. That's important to really understand. But as I said, if you can't answer those questions, then you probably are guessing. Now, let me tell you a story about when I got caught chasing a bit of hype, right? I was just got into trading, and we were essentially spot trading. We've been scalping, going pretty quick in and out. I was absolutely in the futures. So what I mean by that was that I was betting both ways. So if it was long, I'd put a long on it, a leveraged long. If I thought that it was going to go up, then I'd put a leveraged long. If that means if I had $100, I'd essentially bet $1,000 on it. That's a 10x leverage. And if it went up, if it went long, if it went up in that time, then my return was 10x as well. So it's a really good way, it's a really amazing way to make a lot of money. But it's also a really freaking quick way to lose a lot. Lose a lot. And I think I've shared this story before, but I'm going to share it again. I was trading XRP. And my goal was to increase my XRP holdings. Now, this isn't advice to go out and get any specific coin or token, okay? I'm just telling you a story. I was chasing XRP. And I wanted to increase my holdings, as I said. And I was trading through Binance. And Binance have got a really good trading platform. And the fact that you can hedge it, it's very easy. It's a user-intuitive interface I've found. And this isn't trading advice, by the way. This is just the story of something that happened to me. A very intuitive user interface. And they've got this thing where you can literally hedge it. So I was long, but then you could also put a hedge in it if it gets done. And you can put stop losses in and things like that. I generally didn't operate with stop losses. Maybe that was my fault. Then, maybe I should have planned it a little bit better. But they have this beautiful hedging mechanism. And I remember going to bed one night and I was very, very bullish on it. And the market had been bullish. I was like, yeah, it's pretty safe. But then it started to just, it's like, it's just something. And there was something in me that said, you should hedge this right now. Cool. YouTube channels at Andrew Hawks Online. That's for you, the respected Muslim. Cheers. Yeah, I went to bed thinking, maybe I should hedge it. Here's my mistake. Greed kicked in. It's like, well, if I hedge it, then I'm potentially going to lose $100. $100. But if it runs, then I stand to make in 15,000. Greed. If I hedge it, I'm going to lose $100. I could lose $100. But if it runs, I'm going to make 15 grand off this one trade. At 3 a.m., I woke up with a very, very gut-wrenching feeling, and I immediately checked my phone and went 10 minutes prior to me waking up. Literally, I can't explain it to this day, but 10 minutes prior to me waking up, it tanked. And instead of losing $100, instead of making 15,000, I lost $27,000 that night. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a strategy. I was just flying by the seat of my pants. So be careful with that, right? Make sure that you got a plan. What's your outcome? What are your parameters that you're going to put in for yourself? That's important to know. And the pain wasn't just in losing the money. It was realizing I didn't have a strategy at the time. Now, my strategy should have been, yes, hedge it, because 100% loss is much, much better, and easier to swallow than a $15,000 loss. Sorry, than a $27,000 loss. And it's better for me to do that and risk $100 than it is to, if it had gone the other way, if it had gone to 15, then I probably still would have been all right. Anyway, that's another story. But that moment absolutely changed for me, because it did. I stopped trading at that point because I realized I didn't know enough in that space. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to, yeah, Dennis, I'll see you there on TikTok. Hope you're well, bro, in the Philippines. Yeah, that sixth sense did kick in. It was like, oh, something's not right here. And that was it. But it taught me a lot. It taught me a shitload. Yes, I stopped trading because I realized I didn't know enough in that space, and I didn't want to dedicate more time to doing it, because the last thing I wanted to be doing was to be stuck in front of a computer trading. Nothing wrong with it. I wanted to go out and live my life. I wanted to be able to travel like I'm traveling now. I can't do that if I'm stuck in front of a computer screen. People go, oh yeah, but you can use bots. Yeah, you can, but what's the point in that? I mean, there's other things I can do that. In fact, a community that I'm involved with just released some grid trading bots that I will use, because I know what the reward's going to be on them. And I know, I don't know the time frame, but I know the reward. They'll work until they've paid that reward, and then they'll stop. So I'm loving that. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so are you making moves with a plan right now? Oh, my internet connection's getting a little bit poor. Apologies on YouTube if we're getting shitty, and Facebook if we're getting shitty stream, and on TikTok maybe maybe not. So here we are. We're at about the 40-minute mark. Oh, XLM's up 11.4% in the last 24 hours. So I just got a notification on my phone. XLM. I like XLM. No way, it's not financial advice either. It's just one of the ones I like. Anyway, if you're joining us for the first time, or if you want to know more about what I do, who I am, who I help, then head over to drewsdaily.com. You can grab the sovereign wealth sheet there. You can also get the DeFi checklist, and we can even have a chat if that's what you want to do. But today is about moving again. We've got to sort out, I'm going to say moving, we're actually moving countries again. So it's no small feat to put your whole life into a couple of suitcases and travel around the world. It's interesting. It's interesting. It's great though. We've been absolutely loving it. So if you want to know more, head over to drewsdaily.com, grab the sovereign wealth sheet, get the DeFi checklist, flick me a message on WhatsApp. There's a number there, we can chat, and it'll be an automated response to say, hey, but I do respond to those as well afterwards, and you'll see the difference. But stay grounded, guys. Go from reactive to intentional. So you don't want to be reactive to the market, you want to be intentional about it. The game changes when you shift from reactive to intentional. Crypto is emotional. So you've got to try and keep the emotion out of it. And FOMO is one of those big ones, right? With fear of missing out. Oh, but everybody's doing it. Yep, cool. And look, maybe they're very, very good projects. Look at who the development team behind it is. Look at what people are saying about them. Are they talking shit about them? If they are, they're probably doing something right. Strange, I know. But anyway, charts move fast and technology moves fast. So if you want to be in the space, then you have to be in the space. You can't be, you can't come in and then go out. You got to be in. But that's good too, because it means you're in full control. Now, fear kicks in sometimes, greed kicks in, and that story I just showed you talked about both of those things. There was fear in me losing $100, but then there was greed because I could make another 15. Instead, I lost 27. Not cool. Strategy keeps you grounded. So develop your strategy that you're going to be able to use for yourself. One that works. Talk to people. Again, that first check that you should be is: does this project have a white paper? Does this token, does this coin have a white paper? Does it have sound tokenomics? How do they work? What's tokenomics? Tokenomics is simply token economics put together, tokenomics. So how many tokens are going to be produced over what time? Who is getting an allocation of them? Is there a big allocation going to VCs, the venture capitalists? Is there a big allocation going to the founders? Are they going to be able to dump that into the market? These are the questions that you need to ask yourself. Have they got a history of doing that before? So stop chasing, start allocating. Start putting your funds in the places, and you can just dollar cost average into it. If you're not sure what I mean by dollar cost averaging, it means if I buy something for $10 today, just let's say it's this mug, it's $10 today, and I love these mugs and they're collector mugs. It's $10, I paid $10 for this mug, I've got one mug. And next week they might have gone up to $15, but I still like their mugs and they're still going up in value, obviously, because they've gone up $5. So I'm going to buy another mug at $15. Cool, so now I've got two mugs for $25. The dollar cost average of these mugs was $12.50. So it doesn't matter if it's continuing to go up in value. If I continue to buy in incrementally, that brings my average cost down, right? That's the whole point of dollar cost averaging. So you can use that yourself to get into different projects, different coins, different tokens. You can still do it with Bitcoin. Although the chances of it doubling to 200, I think it's going up to 112 at the moment. So the chances of it doubling to 224,000, it might happen. It might happen. I won't say it will happen. It might happen. But the likelihood of that happening versus something that's worth $1 at the moment with a good project behind it isn't as high or as quick. So maybe at that point in time you look and go, well, and again, not financial advice, maybe at that time you go, okay, well, if I've got $5,000 and I want to put it, and my goal is to double the $5,000, do I buy $5,000 worth of Bitcoin and wait for it to go to $224,000? Or do I buy $5,000 worth of something that's only 5,000 or it's only 20 cents, whatever? Because if it's 20 cents, it's only got to go to 40 cents to double, and I've still made $10,000 on my 5,000. Does it make sense? So just look at those projects. Bitcoin might not be the best way for you to go right now. If you want dollar cost and averaging into something, maybe look at what the projects are doing. And I'll give you a tip, and I think I might have said it yesterday, not financial advice. Look for the general purpose blockchains, the ones that are going to be the be all for everything. They're the ones that are going to have the next boom in this cycle. Just keep an eye out for that. Just keep an eye out for that. Excuse me. So whether you're building for long-term positions or you're trying to earn yield, creating cash flow, every play should be for that bigger vision. Every play should be for that bigger vision. Ah, Kaizen. How you doing, mate? Kaizen's my son's friend. Maybe he's on a bus. I don't know. Apparently they're watching me when I'm on a bus. Get it. So yeah, if you're looking for yield, cash flow, then what is your biggest strategic vision? What is it that you're looking for? But that's freedom design by design. It's not by hope. That's you're making a plan. You're putting things into place so that you can have that. No, we can leave that. It's been great to be here with you this morning, guys. Let's just start to wrap it up before, and then I realised, no, there's still these other things that we need to say. But if you want to know more, head over to drewsdaily.com. You can grab the sovereign wealth sheet. You can grab the DeFi checklist, and even reach out and we can have a chat. But it has been awesome to be here with you this morning. Tomorrow's show will be later. I think we arrive in the land of the rising sun. No one's told me yet where it is. But we arrive in the land of the rising sun about 8:30, I think. So we've got to clear customs, we've got to do that thing. And yeah, chances are it'll be much, much later in the morning if it gets done at all tomorrow. But if it gets done at all tomorrow, my aim is to do it at some stage. I made that commitment, so we'll be live at least every weekday. It'd be handy if we were landing on a Saturday, but we're not. It's Friday. So be back tomorrow. Don't know what time. Just keep an eye out. I'll try and give about 15 minutes notice when I post the link. It'll come up on TikTok. It doesn't. It's just straight into it. Sorry, guys. You straight into it. But on Facebook and YouTube, there'll be a little bit of forewarning. But guys, it's been awesome to be here with you today. Remember, you create everything in your life. The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. You create it all. So while you're creating, you might as well go and create something freaking amazing for yourself and for your family, for your loved ones. But it's great to be here with you. Again, head over to drewsdaily.com. There's heaps of information over there. He kone rā means see you later. No, it doesn't, means goodbye. And ka kite anō means I will see you again. So, ka kite anō.